I don't think it's isolationist. I think it is strongly unilateralist. And so it's not that the United States is saying we're only going to focus at home. I mean, the Panama Canal and Greenland and Canada comments don't feel isolationist to me, but they're deeply transactional. And in many ways, Tom, what we have is that the Americans are embracing the Chinese worldview that has served China so well over the last 35 years. It's transactional. It's not about rule of law. They don't care what your political system or economic system is like. They will engage with you bilaterally with the intention of being more powerful than you, and therefore you have to play by their rules. And what the Americans are saying is, actually, China, we can do that, and we can do it a lot better than you can because we're a lot stronger than you, by the way. And that's really what Trump is saying. And it does come at a time when America's adversaries, Russia in deep decline, Iran having lost their empire by proxy, the Chinese in the worst economic conditions since the 90s, maybe the 70s, are particularly weak. So it's an interesting moment to try this experiment. A lot of things are probably going to break as a consequence.
The thing out there, Dr. Bremmer, is the only way this is going to get solved is the humility of a war. Discuss that. Is that what it takes to get away from the madness we're living in right now?
I think in the near term, we're talking about damage control. We're talking about countries and companies on defense. So, a lot of them are hoping that they just don't make headlines. Others are trying to figure out what they need to do proactively to kiss the ring. And geopolitically, you're going to see a whole bunch of countries acting the way Mark Zuckerberg has in the last week towards the commander-in-chief and towards his bomb thrower-in-chief, Elon Musk. By far the most powerful person around the administration, if I can call it that. Look, I mean, the way that you respond to a G0 world is either you reform and strengthen your existing institutions so they are more fit for purpose. You build new institutions that better reflect the demands, the opportunities, and the concerns of the present age, or you go to war. And I can give you examples of all three. All three are happening. We are strengthening NATO right now. We are creating new institutions, the Quad, the Chinese are building Belt and Road and the BRICS, and, there are other examples.
Right.
But the most energy is going into more conflict. The most energy is going into more war. And again, that is not geopolitically sustainable. So I think, your advice to other countries right now, given the power imbalances and Trump coming in and how consolidated his authority is inside the United States compared to 2017, where, he was riding the Republican Party's coattails, his administration felt very different. Not this time around. He's the guy, is that they have to recognize they're playing defense. And defense is more effective in depth. It's more effective if it's strategic, if you're not just, reacting to the latest headline. And it's more effective in numbers. In other words, the EU is better off than, say, the Mexicans because they can act collectively. And to the extent that other countries are capable of doing that in defending the things that matter to them, both in their own countries, but also in terms of international architecture, we will all be better off. By the way, Trump is going to get a lot of wins in the next year. But unlike Xi Jinping promoting a Chinese worldview, Trump doesn't get to do this for 20 years. He gets to do it for 4, assuming he's in good health. And then he doesn't anymore. So long term, the United States unwinding its own institutions does not strike me as strategically smart.